Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I wanted to just start that off with that little thing by Dr. Mike Israetel. And I've also seen Alex Viada address this stuff recently. For people who don't know who they are, they kind of agree with what I've been saying on these things. Dr. Mike is a competitive bodybuilder, a competitive jiu-jitsu competitor, who also happens to have a PhD in biomechanics and is a professor of kinesiology at a university. So he does kind of know what he's talking about. So he's also addressed this same point, and it's something that people need to really understand. When you're talking about this whole BMI thing, BMI still applies to your health. Now, what I tried to point out before, and this people got upset and they don't understand that a lot of doctors recognize the difference between fat and muscle. If you're in the overweight category on a BMI chart, but you work out and lift weights and clearly do not look to be holding an above average amount of body fat, you fall into the area of over muscled. People who are over muscled very, very rarely have any sort of health problems as a result of their body weight. In fact, they're going to be generally healthier than the general population. I don't think any medical expert disagrees with this. However, when you start drifting into the obesity range, if it is even from muscle mass and you're walking around at 10% body fat, it is still unhealthy. Is it entirely unhealthy? No. But does it increase the strain on your heart and increase your risk of cardiovascular disease just as much as if it was from fat? Yes, it does. It still puts a strain on your heart. It still puts a strain on your liver to walk around with a BMI of 32 or 33, irrespective of whether you're 8% body fat or 35% body fat. The strain on those organs is still the same. Now, are you going to be at a massively lower chance of cancer? Absolutely. Are you going to be at a massively lower chance of diabetes than if it was from fat? Oh, absolutely. Tremendously so. But if you don't think that your heart is at risk, if you're walking around with a BMI of 30 plus, then you are delusional and you are not grasping the reality of it. You've been caught up in the whole muscle dysmorphia game. For those of us who are sitting at BMIs of over 30, I am right now. I'm actually cutting again to get it back under that. Even though I've gained only lean gains, I've lost fat while gaining weight recently. My waist is actually smaller. I've gone down a pant size, but my weight has drifted back up above a BMI of 30, and I know I don't need to be there. What I do is what I recommend everyone do. You need to be doing cardiovascular work every day. And you need to be paying attention to your cholesterol, blood lipid profiles, particularly making sure your HDL is high, triglycerides are low, things like that, if you're going to be walking around with a BMI above 30. And if you do, and you don't do cardio of some type every single day, you are an idiot. Now, the other thing that really upsets people with this is they don't seem to realize that their gains are not all lean gains. A lot of guys are like, well, I gained X amount of weight, and it's all lean. I look leaner now. I am leaner now. What they don't understand is that oftentimes with their bulking process of when they gained all that muscle, they still have more fat than before they started, even though they look leaner. And here's why that is. If you put on 15 pounds of muscle mass, 15 pounds of muscle while training over a couple years, and you only gain 3 or 4 pounds of subcutaneous body fat, you will look leaner because the muscle growth has extended beyond the size of the fat volume around it. You've actually increased the volume of the muscles more than the fat layering over it. You've spread the fat thinner. Your skin folds will actually be smaller in most places where your muscles have grown the most, and even though you were leaner before. Let that sink in. The thinner skin folds and the bigger muscles, you look leaner, even though you're not. And what people don't realize, the more you train and lift weights, the more your body has a slight propensity to store your fat intramuscularly instead of under the skin. So a lot of the fat that you've gained is going to be inside the muscle also. So you might have gained 3 or 4 pounds, let's say 4 pounds of subcutaneous fat with that 15 pounds of muscle, and you might have gained 3 pounds of intramuscular fat. So what ends up being is that your 22-pound weight gain was only 15 pounds of muscle and even muscle glycogen and things like that. It was only 15 pounds, and you actually gained 7 pounds of fat, but you come out looking leaner. You're actually fatter, but you will look leaner. And that's where a lot of these mistakes get made, and there's this confusion there. People really thought they gained 22 plus pounds of muscle and lean weight because they look leaner with a 22-pound weight gain, but it was still a lot of fat gain, but they look leaner. So as far as the mirror is concerned, it's fine, but you did gain fat. Just a little point that people seem to miss. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Oh, Mount Bicepius.